guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. This is part 9 of my series of tutorials made for beginners. Today I'm going to continue talking about polygon modeling, but first of all let's talk a little bit about CleanUp, and this is a very useful command you can find in Maya. If you go to main menu, click mesh and CleanUp, and here you should click on the settings. Let's try the settings. So basically CleanUp will help you to highlight and select problematic areas in your models, and it can also fix them, but it doesn't always give you the best result. Sometimes it's easier to do it manually, sometimes you can use CleanUp options. So let's look through all the settings. First of all, you can choose whether you want to clean up matching polygons or select matching polygons. If you click select, it means that Maya will only select all the components that has problems, but won't do anything with them. So you'll be able to isolate them and fix them manually. And if you choose clean up, it would actually change your geometry. For the first time, I suggest choose select, so you will just see what problematic areas you have, and then you can decide whether you want to fix them manually or you want to try Maya's automatic cleanup option here. So let's keep it select for now. Next one is scope. You can apply cleanup to only selected objects, or you can apply it to all polygonal objects. I suggest keep it to only selected objects. And in my opinion, it's always easier to do one by one than trying to do all of them at the same time. The next one, whether you want to keep construction history. This is relevant if you choose automatic cleanup in Maya, because Maya will remember all the actions it does to your model. Like, for example, if there is errors that require merging vertices, Maya will merge vertices and will also create a note in your histories that you applied merge vertices to your model. So I guess you should keep it on. The next one is fix by tessellation, and you see there is different options. Basically, tessellation means that Maya is going to triangulate your polygons, and that will fix some of the errors that you can see here. So let's have a closer look. The first one is four-sided faces. Four-sided faces usually doesn't cause any problems. In fact, this is what normally you should have. You should have most of faces on your model that will have four sides. But if you need to export triangulated model somewhere and you need to troubleshoot that you don't have any four-sided faces, then you can choose this option. Let's see how it works. So I'll select this object. As you can see, it has very strange different polygons. So we'll choose four-sided faces and click apply. And you see, Maya highlighted me only these two polygons because those two have four sides. And see what happens if I change from select matching polygons to clean up matching polygons. Let's do it again. I'll select the object, choose clean up matching polygons, four-sided faces, and click apply. And this is exactly tessellation. So Maya added extra edges to every polygon face to make sure that all the faces has only three sides. So let's undo that, go back to object mode. Next one is faces with more than four sides. Let's switch it back to select matching polygons instead of cleanup. So basically faces with more than four sides are also allowed in Maya. While you work on your model, like you modeling, you don't need to fix it straight away. But when you export your model, it's always good to have four-sided faces or three-sided faces. So let's try faces with more than four sides and click apply. And this is what happens. Maya selected this face and this face because all of them has more than four vertices. Let's go back. The next one is concave face and faces with holes. So those two can cause problems, and it's better to try to reduce them even when you just work on your model. If you look at this face, it has four sides. So technically you would think it won't cause you any problems, but what happens if I try to smooth my model? You see, you immediately see some errors here. And concave face basically means a face that has this sharp angle inside it. Like if I move this vertex somewhere here, and let's check it now, I click apply, You see, it's fine. It's still counted as a just regular four-sided face. But if I move this vertex a little bit more, so now we see this angle. I select the object and click apply. Now may I highlighted it because now it became concave face. If I try to see it in smoothing view, I can spot that there is something going on here. And of course, the way to fix it is very easy. All you need to do is just to add this missing edge. Let's do it manually now. I'll just select multicut and do it like that. And I'll go back to object mode and select the smoothing view. See, it fixed the problems. So now on this side where I added this extra edge, my model looks much better. Faces with holes. Again, they cause the same problem. If you have face and you have hole in it, you need to make sure that you have all the edges around it. Again, if I try to smooth it or if I import it to another software, it will definitely cause some errors. So let's click apply. And now you see, may I highlighted only this face because this is the only one that has hole. So let's go back to object mode, select CleanUp matching polygons and click apply. And this is what happens. May I added all the missing edges, and now every face has 3 sides. However, if you do it manually, you often can get slightly better topologies. And the last one is non-planar faces. Again, non-planar faces, just like four-sided faces, usually are not a problem, and you can use them in your modeling. Basically what it means that 1 or 2 vertices of your face, if it's, for example, four-sided face like that, they're not in the same axis orientation, and when your model have it just a little bit, it's okay, you can work with it. But if you have it like quite sharp and it's just one face, then you usually need to create another edge to support that shape. Otherwise, again, it might cause you quite a lot of issues in shading, just like now. You see, I switched it to smoothing views and I switched it back, and Maya doesn't actually understand where to put shadow in this face because it just looks very strange. Anyway, we can check how that works. So I can click apply, and Maya selected this face because this is non-planar face. And now we can select CleanUp, go back to object mode and click apply. And now Maya basically did the same, just applied tessellation and triangulated my face. So now there is every face within the same axis orientation. The next section is remove geometry. And do you see the difference when it says fixed by tessellation? Means that it won't actually change your geometry, it will just add extra edges. And remove geometry would mean that it's actually going to change your actual geometry, so you need to be careful with this one if you are going to use automatic CleanUp polygons here. So the first one is lamina faces. So it took me a while actually to make lamina face in Maya. Let me show you how you can do that, and then you probably will have a better understanding of what it is. So let's create a cube, move it somewhere here, make it slightly larger, scale it down. So remember we were talking about normals, that every polygon face would have back face, which Maya will show dark, like black, and front face, which would be just shaded like that. If you don't see them as a black, you should go check lighting, two-sided lighting should be unchecked. So if you see your geometry like that, so both faces highlighted, you should probably activate it, because it's always good to see black faces and front faces. It will prevent you from merging them together, which will create lamina faces. So let me show you. So what happens if I merge all the vertices here, and technically I will merge this face, which is front face, with this front face. So let's do that. I mean, this is the example of what you should not be doing. don't need to repeat it. You see? Now we have one face. This face has only 4 vertices and 4 edges, so it is one face, but it has this weird highlighting. Sometimes you can fix it if you go to mesh display and try to reverse it. Let's try that. I think it worked, but quite often it might not give you the results that you need. Very often it might not work with mesh displays, or in which case you need to use CleanUp. Let me select lamina faces and click apply. And you see it selected whole face, and go back to object mode. Let's try to do CleanUp and click apply. And yeah, now we have our face back to normal. So these were lamina faces. And now let's look at non-manifold geometry and what does it actually mean. Non-manifold geometry means that some components of your mesh, like edges or vertices, has more faces connected to it than it should be. Like, for example, this would be non-manifold geometry because this is a combined merge, and if I check this vertex, it will be just one vertex, but it has 3 edges like that. When you try to smooth it, you will see that it doesn't smooth perfectly. When you try to export it to another software, you will have errors. The easiest way to fix that, for example, you need to have your model exactly like that, would be just to select all these faces and extract them. And now you see it's just a separate mesh. You can still have the same mesh. Like, I can still combine them together and have it as the same mesh, but the difference would be that here I will have 2 edges instead of 1. Let me undo that, and let's try to do CleanUp. And first we'll select our non-manifold geometry in this object and click apply. You see it selected all these vertices because every vertex has too many edges going on. It selected all the back faces, and it also selected these vertices. So this is non-manifold geometry, but when you have mix of front faces and back faces on the same surface, this is also non-manifold geometry. And if you see here in the settings, when you use CleanUp to fix those errors, you can choose between normals and geometry or geometry only. Basically, the difference, if you choose geometry only, most likely Maya will just cut these black faces and separate them from the mesh. Let's try it up. Let's choose CleanUp and use geometry only and click apply. Now you can see that Maya just separated all the faces that look wrong. Like, those faces are still connected, but all the faces that connected to the same vertex here and are non-manifold geometry, Maya separated. And now if we choose normals and geometry, first of all, Maya will try to fix all the errors and get rid of non-manifold geometry by reversing normals. And then if it doesn't work, it will just separate parts of geometry. So let's try that, click apply. You see what happens? Those faces Maya didn't separate, it just reversed them to fix non-manifold because it was only normals that caused errors here, but those faces still got separated just as well as those. Let me show you an example how you can accidentally get non-manifold geometry. For example, I have this model. If I click Shift D and I duplicate it, then I might select one face here and I'll do extrude. Then, for example, I completely forgot that I duplicated this object and I select all of it and see there is something going on. So I'll say, okay, I can combine it. I can maybe select all the vertices and merge them together by distance. And now what I have missed is that because I merged everything by distance, there will be one face in the middle, like you see, this one. So it will cause me a lot of problems if I keep working with this model, because this face would share the same vertex here and here. You won't be able to smooth your object. You'll see there always will be some errors. And if you export it somewhere else, the other software might also give you errors. So this is a good example when you work on your model and something doesn't look right. So you open CleanUp and you search for non-manifold geometry and click apply. You see it's highlighted something, so it means like there is some non-manifold geometry inside it. So let's try to do CleanUp. Go back to object mode and click apply. And now we can select all the frontal faces. and separate it from the duplicate that caused some problems. Okay, let me show you another example. So let's move to the rest. Let's look at edges with zero length and faces with zero geometry area. For example, I'll select a few faces and I click extrude, and then I'll deselect it, and it's not very obvious that I forgot some extrudes here, but if I try to smooth it, I will notice that something doesn't look right, because if I smooth, because it creates more geometry here, which it shouldn't. So this is where those two are useful. First, let's select them and click apply. So you see, Maya highlighted this area that I extruded, and let's try to clean up. Let's see what happens. And now it's all back to normal. Let's try another variant. Let's do extrude here. So before that it was faces with zero length, and now you can see that this is the edge. So this is something that could be quite hard to fix, because you can really remove that edge. So what you can do, you can select this object, select CleanUp, and edges with zero length, faces with zero area, and click apply. You see, the face is gone and all the vertices merged together, so it's all work well. And this is all you need to know about CleanUp. I would advise you to use it quite often, because while you're working, it's very often easier to find the things and fix them than wait when you have a very complex model with lots of details and it will take ages to troubleshoot your models.